Welcome to the Lead Well podcast. Around here, we believe leadership shouldn't cost you your peace, your well-being, or the parts of you that you have worked so hard to reclaim. I'm your host, Trasetta Washington, leadership wellness coach and strategist. And my mission is to give you practical, actionable steps that are going to help you to reduce overwhelm, lead more effectively, and build a sustainable rhythm for both your team and your life. Let's go ahead and dive into today's conversation. Great day, leaders. Listen, in our last episode, I introduced you to my R.E.S.T framework. It's a simple but powerful way that can help leaders to realign before burnout forces you to do it. And over the next 4 episodes, I'm going to slow this framework all the way down and walk you through each element in detail, because real change doesn't come from rushing to solutions. It actually comes from choosing the right first step. And today we're going to start with the R from the R.E.S.T framework, which is reevaluate. But what does reevaluation really mean? Oftentimes when leaders hear reevaluate, they think that it means something is wrong, but it doesn't. Reevaluation is simply taking the time to pause before the pivot. It's the moment that you stop long enough to see clearly what is actually happening around you and within you without judgment, without urgency, without drama, right? So reevaluation isn't about fixing things. It is about awareness. And if you've been with me for any length of time, you know I talk about awareness all the time. Awareness is really the starting point for you being able to lead well again. Now, a lot of leaders skip this step because we're wired to act. We're wired to take action. You've been rewarded for solving problems, for making decisions, for moving things forward. So when something feels off, the instinct is to do more, not to pause. Pausing actually can feel very uncomfortable. It can feel unproductive and even risky to many leaders. But without taking the time to reevaluate, the actions that you take will end up becoming misdirected effort. What you end up doing is fixing the wrong things, or maybe you're even fixing the right things, but you're doing it in the wrong way. There is power in taking time to pause long enough to see clearly what is happening. Clarity requires space. I'm going to say that again. Clarity requires space. When you slow down, even if it's briefly, you will start to notice the patterns that you weren't able to see while you were in action, when you were in movement, right? You notice where your energy drops. You notice where frustration keeps repeating itself. You notice where maybe you're pushing harder than necessary. And so reevaluation interrupts that autopilot leadership. And it gives you the choice again, right? It gives you an opportunity to choose where you put your time, energy, and attention. So here's what reevaluation really looks like inside of daily leadership, right? I have to say this, reevaluation doesn't require a retreat or a week off, though you can do that. But that's not what I'm talking about here. I'm talking about reevaluation that shows up in really small daily moments. This is where you notice the meetings that you participate in that leave you drained and depleted. It's paying attention to the tasks that you keep putting off and avoiding. It's reflecting before you respond instead of just reacting to whatever is placed in front of you. It's less about changing everything and really more about paying attention to something in particular. So I want to share with you a few questions that I often invite leaders to sit with in order to go through this process of reevaluation? There's 4 questions. The first one is, where am I rushing unnecessarily? Right? Sometimes we do have to rush, but where is it that I am rushing myself, rushing my team, rushing tasks unnecessarily? The second question is, what feels heavier than it really should right now? What are the things that normally it's easy breezy for you, but now it's like, it just feels heavy. It feels like it's taking much more of your time, energy, and attention than it really should be. Third question is, what am I doing out of habit instead of intention? Listen, there are things that we have been doing as a part of the way that we're leading or even living, and it just becomes habit, not necessarily intentional. And it may not even be necessary anymore. You just keep doing it because you've always done it. So asking yourself, what is it that I'm doing out of habit instead of intention, can help you to identify those things. Last question number 4 is, where am I leading from a place of obligation rather than what is aligned? What are the things that I'm doing because I feel obligated to do it, but doesn't really necessarily align with the direction that I'm going, the impact that I want to have, the goals that I've set for myself, for my team, for my organization, right? These questions aren't meant to overwhelm you. They're actually meant to orient you, to help you to identify where you are right now so that you can move through the rest of this framework. One of the most powerful parts of reevaluation is learning the difference between what are the things that drain you and what are the things that nourish you, the things that energize you. Draining work depletes you without there being any return on that investment. Whereas nourishing work or energizing work, it may still be challenging, but it restores you in some way. It lights your soul on fire. It provides you with a wind, if you will, kind of a wind beneath your wings, right? Even though it's challenging to you, it brings you something. It does something to benefit you. Both of these things exist in leadership. However, when the things that are draining outweigh the things that are nourishing you for too long, that is where misalignment grows. Reevaluation helps you to rebalance that equation. And so as clarity increases, you may start to notice a few things. There are some tasks that no longer really belong to you. They could be delegated, outsourced, or, gotten rid of altogether. Some responsibilities may need clearer ownership. There may be some blurred lines there, and you're not sure if it's supposed to be yours or if it's one of your team members. There's not that clarity comes in. And then some systems don't need more effort. They just simply need to be redesigned a little bit. So reevaluation gives you permission to ask yourself, does this still fit? Does it still make sense? Is there a better way that I could be leading or we could be doing this process? Misalignment often shows up as discomfort before you start to experience it as burnout. And that discomfort is usually values related. What I mean is when how you're leading no longer matches what matters to you, to your body, and your mind, right? And your body, your mind, and you feel it first when those things don't align, when those things don't match up. And so that taking the time to reevaluate helps to reconnect your leadership decisions to your values. So now your choices feel grounded again. They feel rooted and grounded again. And this creates clarity for you without drama. One of the biggest myths about leadership change is that it requires a crisis. It doesn't. That's why it's a myth. It doesn't. Reevaluation allows for you to create course correction from a place of calm, from a place of intention. Small adjustments that you make now or that you make early on can help to prevent some bigger breakdowns later on. And let me say this to you. You do not need permission to change your approach. You do not need permission from anyone else to change how you approach the way you lead, how you approach the way that you live, how the way you approach leading your team. You don't need permission. You just need clarity. Okay, so I want to share with you just a really simple 10-minute weekly recalibration practice that you can do. First and foremost, set aside 10 minutes, whether it is at the beginning of your week or at the end of your week. I would recommend that you set aside the 10 minutes at the end of your week because all the information is fresh to you, right? So in the first 5 minutes, you're going to review the things that drained you and the things that energized you from the week, right? Think back over the days and say, what are the things that, hey, this really drained my energy? And these are the things that kind of energized me or I enjoyed doing. Then you're going to take the next 3 minutes and identify one adjustment that you can make that would reduce the friction for you. So once you've identified, like, what is the thing that drained you or what is the thing that energized you, you're like, okay, I need to do more of this and less of this. Whatever it is, however you're going to make that adjustment, choose one. You're not changing everything. We're not doing a complete overhaul here. Just identify one adjustment that you can make that can reduce the friction for you. And then in the last 2 minutes, you're going to name one boundary or one priority that is going to guide you in the upcoming week. That's it. That's all you're going to do. This small pause and these minor adjustments can create big impact in the way that you lead and how well you lead. And I don't just mean leading, doing a good job. I mean how well you are in your mind, body, and soul. Okay. And your team is going to benefit when you take the time to reevaluate. Your team is going to feel it. Your decisions are going to become clearer. You're not going to be as reactive. Expectations become much more consistent. Your presence is going to be, is going to create steadiness in the room or in your work environment. And that steadiness, that builds trust. Okay. So I just want to leave, before I go, I want to encourage you, I want to leave you with this. Reevaluation is not punishment, right? It is permission. Permission to stop pretending that everything is fine. Permission to choose intention over autopilot. Permission to lead well again, starting with clarity. Okay? That's my word of encouragement for you. Now, if this episode has you realizing that, I need some space to pause and to get clear, I want to invite you to join me for a leadership reset session. It's a powerful place for you to get started. It's a focused one-on-one conversation where we reevaluate what's draining you, where you're out of alignment, and what shifts will help you to lead with more ease and more energy. You'll find the link to book your session in the show notes. So I encourage you to go there and get more information and sign up for your session. Now Next time, in the next episode, we're going to move into the E in my R.E.S.T framework, which stands for energize. This is how leaders rebuild capacity before pushing forward. All right. So thank you for being here. And until next time, remember to lead well and live well.